Today on What's Next.
There are a plethora of amazing, powerful stories that we have been able to share with each and every one of you.
It's about conquering obstacles in life or, just on the road.
Your smile flooded my days with Florida sunshine.
Hello and welcome back to What's Next. This is the show that celebrates the endless opportunities of life, the blessing of growing older when you are focused on growing bolder. And of course, that means living with passion and purpose. I'm Marc Middleton, joined as always by Secily Wilson, Bill Schaefer, and Amy Sweezy. And before we get to some new stuff, how about we take a quick look back? What's been your favorite story of the season, Bill, at least so far?
Oh, me first? Hey,
Yeah.
You know what I want to throw back at you, Mark? What was one of our favorite quotes from an older story is, "Do you have a favorite finger?" It's hard to choose because all of these stories are so inspiring and the people are so interesting. I guess I'd have to go back and say Joey Molland from the Bad Badfinger. I've known about their story, forever. They're like, if you look up in the dictionary, tragic rock band, their picture comes up. They were cheated out of a fortune. 2 of their members took their own lives because they were so despondent. And I had this image in my head that this is the saddest, most horrific thing that could ever happen to anybody until we met guitarist Joey Molland. He's 75 years old. This guy is up. He's energetic. He wants to make a difference in other people's lives. He wants to protect the legacy of the music. If you want it, here it is, come and get it. They had great songs. And Joey, instead of, oh, it was terrible, no, he's out there picking out the good. So in anybody's life, there is good to find, even in the midst of just tragic and terrible situations. So I think I learned a lot from him, and I hope our audience did as well.
And Bill, like you said, it's so hard to pick a favorite when you've interviewed so many great people. Mert Rose, of course, still flying planes in her 80s. Miss Stephanie Walsh, she's doing hip hop and her videos are going viral. She's in her 70s. And of course, my high school friend, Christiane Palpin, who is now traveling across the country after literally dying and coming back to life. So I had a lot to choose from, but I ended up going with Chris Ross, a surf instructor. And yes, it's because of the stoke that he shared with me and all of us. But also the biggest thing was because of his sobriety. I mean, I have several people in my life who struggle with addiction, and many have overcome it, but some still do struggle. And I really loved how Chris managed to stay sober during the untimely death of his teenage son. I mean, staying sober when life is good is hard enough. But when you can stay sober when you are in the depths of despair and losing your child, I mean, that is a new kind of strength and focus. And I went with Chris Ross for that reason.
We've seen it over and over again. It's really hard to choose just one. And there have been many. So Lucille O'Neill is one who is a personal friend of mine and not only a mentor, just an all-around powerful woman. So I loved her story. And I also really loved the story of finding your fabulosity, showcasing other women and their real and authentic beauty after going through domestic violence. And of course, many of you know that that is a passion that is close to my heart, experiencing domestic violence as a child. And this one woman, Cheryl Curlin, realized the power of one tube of lipstick can give to a woman to make her feel and look absolutely beautiful. So I just love the fact that she just did something. One person can truly, truly make a difference. And she did with just the lipstick.
First of all, I think Amy Sweezy cheated a lot and Secily cheated a little because we said pick one story, and Bill, did you notice? I think Amy mentioned 4 and Secily mentioned 2. All of your stories, interestingly, were about people overcoming, really, really difficult hardship. I loved every one of those, but I'm going to pick one of mine. And I know why we do that. It's not because we think our stories are better than the others. They're all really, really good, but it's because we were there. We absorbed the inspiration firsthand, and that really does make a difference. That's the blessing, folks, of what we get to do. It's a privilege, to meet these people and learn from these people. And it was a privilege for me, and I'm only going to mention one. I'm not going to cheat. It was a privilege for me to reconnect with Julia Hawkins. I flew to Louisiana to watch her become, at 105 years old, the oldest person in history to compete in a sanctioned track and field meet. She set a new world record in the 100-meter dash for women, 105 to 109. And, even more inspiring than that was the fact that I got to visit her at her home in Baton Rouge. I got to hang out with her. She gave me a tour of her garden. She showed me all of the plants that she has. Inspiration, was everywhere on that trip. And, she's not one that really had to overcome a whole lot. She's just out there doing her thing. And, it was one where I didn't have to feel bad about what she'd been through and just could celebrate who she was and what she was doing. And, it's been great so far. It's exciting to think what's ahead, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Once you get going, the endorphins kick in and you're just like, I did it.
Well, welcome back to What's Next. One of the most important ingredients to aging well is resilience. And that's because all of us are going to face challenges, but it's how we face them that determines how well we live on. It's something that we hear over and over again from the people in between 50 and 103 who competed in the National Senior Games. They all had something that they had to overcome, it seemed like, a physical illness, an injury, emotional stress, depression, things beyond their control. And one of the most memorable stories was from a woman named Maria Schreiber. And she told us that her husband at one point left her and she had to raise her 3 kids alone. Her brother faced horrors in the war in Iraq and she needed some kind of release. And she found it by running.
I've had some really dark times, in my life where things like happened to me, and I always would just get up. Even if I was like in my darkest day and just felt like, oh, this is a terrible day, I would strap on my shoes and put on my gear, and maybe it took me an hour to get out the door, but I would push myself out the door. Once you get going, the endorphins kick in, and you're just like, I did it. I conquered today's self-doubt or today's thing or today's obstacle. It's about conquering obstacles. In life or, just on the road or that 700-foot climb, whatever that was, it was a little hard. But it's all about conquering obstacles. And every time you do that, you give yourself a little pat on the back. There's another feather in your cap that I accomplished something I didn't think I could.
Maria Schreiber putting one foot in front of the other, even when you don't know for sure if you can. It's like a metaphor for what we all have to do from time to time, isn't it? Finding ways to cope, to shift our perspective, to keep moving forward. And I think we all can come up with things that we fall back on when we really need something. And Marc, athletics, being physically active, that's a big part of who you are and your life as well. Do you get what she's saying? Does physical activity help you mentally as well?
Oh, of course, Bill. Absolutely. Physical activity, feeling better physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that is connected. What I really liked about what Maria said is that, even in her darkest days, when she felt the worst, she would still get up and go. And, I truly believe that our mind is our biggest enemy. It works very hard, incessantly, constantly, to try to convince us that we're too tired, we're too old, it's too cold, it's raining too hard. The potential reasons to not get up and not go out are limitless, and our mind, our weaker self, will explore them all and try to convince us to keep our butts on the couch.
It's a great answer, and for a lot of people, exercise is the outlet, but there are other ways that you can shift your mood or brighten your perspective when times are tough. Do you know what else you could do? Well, experts say you can do something as simple as taking a shower, not a bath. It's just that there's something cleansing about letting the water rush over you for a while. Something else you can do is give yourself a little TLC. Put on your most comfortable clothes. Even those funny shorts, the embarrassing ones you never wear in public that your wife bought you for Valentine's Day. Yeah, we know you got them. Fire up some tunes, crank up some Sly and the Family Stone, Casey and the Sunshine Band, sing along and dance like nobody's watching, and then hope that no one really is. But that can work too. Cook something, make it yourself. Sometimes the process, the experience of putting elements together, ingredients together to create a great dish can be very satisfying. Call someone, a friend, a family member, ask them how they're doing, because that can really help you come out of yourself and get out of your own problems. Or when you go out, you could even strike up a conversation with a stranger at the store. Find your dog, your cat, your pet, get some good cuddle time in. Whatever kind of an animal you have, giving love to something else can bring it right back to you. So there's a number of things, whether they're physical or not. Secily, what kind of things do you do to shift your mood or perspective when you need that little jolt?
Yeah, and one of them you mentioned, getting in the shower. There is something cleansing about just getting under the shower head, really hot water, and just letting it flow all over you. But I also just sometimes just get quiet. In the silence, I can hear so much. So there are things like that. And then laughter. I love to laugh. Just try it. You know, you can just burst out laughing at any point, at any time, and it feels good because it pulls out right here in their core. So you get a workout as well. So oh my God, it's so funny. It's infectious, right? So just laugh.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
As a public service, we should make people DVR that portion of the show. I want a Secily laugh button whenever I need a mood shift.
Absolutely.
The mere sound of your voice was like sweet vanilla ice cream to my soul.
Welcome back to What's Next. The theme of this month's Growing Bolder magazine is creativity, one of the most important qualities to embrace as we age. Researchers now believe that creative thinking activates a variety of neural networks within our brains. People who are creative are better problem solvers. They're better at adapting to circumstances and better at dealing with the challenges and the functional limitations of aging. Writing is a great form of creative expression that's accessible to all of us. So in May, we partnered with our friends at Florida Blue Medicare to celebrate National Poetry Month, and we held the first annual Bold Poets Society Poetry Slam. We had categories for both written word and spoken word. Darlene Finch Kuhn from Jacksonville won the written word category. Her beautiful poem titled The Visit is in our June magazine. You can sign up to be a GB Insider so you can read that. Collie Blake from Miramar was the winner in the spoken word category, and here is her poem called Seasons of Loss.
Seasons of loss. Summer. Your smile flooded my days with Florida sunshine. Your hugs filled me with an indescribable warmth. The mere sound of your voice was like sweet vanilla ice cream to my soul. And even on those days when temperatures soared, I felt refreshed and reassured by your presence. As cool as a crisp day in fall. But little did I know, soon you would fall out of my life like leaves fall from a tree. Now there's no you, only me. Fall, also known as autumn, where I'm expected to automatically go back to normal. Normal? What does that even mean? My life hasn't been the same since you left the scene. Got me feeling blue because my life is void of you. So you're gone and I'm withdrawn, and I've put up walls allowing no one to enter. I'm broken, bitter, barren, like winter. Faced with this cold, harsh reality, lost in a storm of uncertainty, crushed by an avalanche of emotion, craving calm amidst the internal commotion. I'm as cold as ice, numb, wishing desperately that you would come, deliver me from the agony of you not being here with me. Your absence has been the ultimate devastation. I seek solace in the midst of isolation. Most days it's hard for me to get out of bed. Sometimes I wish he took me instead. I'm barely holding on to life's last string. My feet got no dance. My step got no spring. But as I blossom into the season of growing and healing, I feel raindrops of relief. Getting bolder and stronger every day as I go through my journey of loss and grief. Through my faith, friends, and family, The plane slowly loses its grip on me. And I know the hurt will never totally cease. But thoughts of you make my heart bloom with peace.
Well, Bill Schaefer, now you know why your poem did not win, but I will say the sound of your voice is like sweet vanilla ice cream to my soul. Congratulations to both Collie and Darlin for their great work. I just love spoken word poetry. Collie did share with us that poem was not about one specific loss, but several losses that she'd encounter, and that she worked through those losses with poetry. Poetry helps her process her feelings and gives perspective to her challenges. So guys, you know, the obvious wrong choice, the potentially devastating choice, is to turn to alcohol or drugs. So we all need alternatives. What about you guys? What helps you deal with the never-ending challenges of life? I mean, we got music and meditation and prayer and martial arts. What helps you get back on track? Amy?
You know, for me, it really kind of depends on the day, depends on my mood, but let me just say that Collie poem, wow, that was amazing. As a meteorologist, I love the play on the weather and the seasons too. It was fantastic. I'm a child of the 80s, so I think anytime I listen to 80s music, it just takes me back to childhood. It takes me to a happy place. Other people think of it as noise. When I need something to kind of lift my spirits, that always does the trick.
Yeah, for me, it's music too, but not listening. It's playing. You know, I play keyboards, and you don't have to be good at it at all. But if you take a song, a favorite song of yours, and try to learn it, you quickly find that it's patterns and it's progressions, and so it's almost like doing a puzzle. And there's this great sense of satisfaction at the end, but it takes total concentration. And your problems, which seem so overwhelming and all-encompassing, you're able to put them in a little place and move them away from you. Like the last song I learned was ELO's Can't Get It Out of My Head. And when you put other stuff in, I can't get it out. So there's no room. There's not as much room for the dark.
There's a lot in that head of yours, Bill. And I have to agree with you, Amy. I am an 80s girl all day. That music just gets me going. A little LL Cool J, Salt and Pepper, you know, I'm good with that.
And you know what else works, Secily? Laughter.
You're right.
You're scaring me now.
You're absolutely right.
Well, welcome back to What's Next. The year is almost half over, and our social media guru, Jess, recently asked our GB tribe on Facebook, and by the way, we hope that you are a member of that group if you're not. What is something that you still want to do in this year? Drew Dominguez said acting, already did photo shoots, next commercials. Myrna McCoy Composto said zip lining, and Sandy Evans said every taco restaurant in the Tri-County area. Love that idea. Taco Tuesdays, here comes Sandy. For me, I've had this idea for a long time and I've never actually implemented it, and that is I want to do lunch dates with my kids just one-on-one. I have 3 children, so I want to just take one kid at a time and just go to lunch and have that like one-on-one time where they can't get away from me. So I'm going to do that before the end of the year.
I know.
That,
Amy.
You know,
So
that's
guys,
great.
what about you?
We started this program by having to list our favorite stories. Honest to goodness, I cannot wait to get out and start doing more stories for the next 26 episodes of Growing Boulder's What's Next, because the people that we meet, just getting out there, experiencing new people and new stories, it's so uplifting, and being able to bring them to you, that's the best of all.
So now that this year is almost over, I married a daughter. Well, I didn't marry my daughter. I got my daughter married, right? And my other daughter finished college. And so now I'm really excited about making the rest of my life the best of my life. And so the possibilities are limitless. I'm open for whatever.
That's a great attitude, Secily. I love that. You know, for me, it's not, so much any one big thing. I just want to do better at recognizing and luxuriating in the little things. And I refer back to Julia Hawkins because one of the things she told me was enjoy the magic moments. And by the way, folks, they are everywhere. It's easy to think that they are few and far between, but they're not. We've heard from more than one centenarian over the years that they become enthralled with the flight of a bird, the sound of the wind, the kindness of a stranger, the industrious community of ants. That's really what I want to do. I just want to pay more attention and enjoy what's happening all around me. So I guess, folks, what's next for you? Is it more tacos? Is it more travel? Is it volunteering? Is it a new hobby, a new job? Whatever is next for you, we will be here to provide the inspiration to keep on keeping on. We'll see you next time.